Hi.
What is he, Shia?
Yeah, I saw him.
If it touch him.
Hi, Harold. Hi, Harold.
It looks like you're ready.
Pero no se oye. Yes. Pero yo no lo oigo. I'm here.
What is for
You got some little kitties there? Oh,
Hello, Abe.
Yeah, I got my
Hello.
grandchildren here.
nice.
Where's Daddy? How'd you get here?
Yesterday, you guys heard anything that Ernie gave the year? It was bad. Right?
Last night?
the lady? Is this too much?
Yeah, he gave the share. Yeah, he gave the share last
No,
night.
I know, but the recording, it was stopped. And
Stop and go.
He had problem with his internet.
no, he doesn't. He has to go. At the end, he did it in the dining room, but he has an office upstairs
Yeah.
where he has the modem there. Why doesn't he do it there? And that's
Oh,
it.
I didn't know that. I thought it was downstairs. That's what
I wrote it to him, but
Oh,
No, but you can get extensions.
no.
right. Yeah, it's easy to do
Yeah.
that.
You
Oh,
don't have to be.
he needs
A router, what do you call? Not a router,
It's a
a
booster.
mesh. I have
Yeah.
it.
It's a
yeah,
booster or something.
a booster. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not a booster, it's a mesh.
Mensch?
right. You set up a system.
It's not the same thing.
What's a
The
mensch?
mesh connects the router with this one, with this
Yeah,
one,
you
with
set
this
up a
one.
whole network. Yeah.
It extends the range.
Okay, we're all set.
But er versteht nicht.
Okay, we're on Tzadik Zayin, Amid Beis, 97b on the bottom. Mishnah. Hamocher yain lechaver ve'ichmitz. You sell wine, barrel of wine to your friend, and after it's in the possession of the buyer, it turns vinegar. That's okay.
What's that? Walter.
Eino chai bach riyuso. The seller doesn't have to pay anything. However, miyadua sheyeno machmitz. If this vintner is known that his wine every year turns into vinegar, then areze mekach tos. And if the buyer wanted to buy wine that lasts and he wasn't informed that this always turns to vinegar every year, then he gets his money back. However, im amar lo, I'm selling you very special wine that will be preserved, that will not go bad. So you have to sell him wine that will last until Shavuos. Means we assume that it was sold in the previous summer. So it has to last until Shavuos. Now, if you say Yain Yashan, if you say I'm selling you old wine, it has to be at least Mishal Ishtake. It has to be at least from last year. If you say I'm selling you aged wine, Miyushan, it has to be Mishal Sholoshanim. It has to be at least 3 years old. When we say that if you sell wine, it turns vinegar, and the buyer doesn't have to make him whole, that's when the buyer took it home in his own vessels. But if the buyer took it home in the vessels of the seller, he can give it back. Here's your wine, here's your jugs. Give me back my money. So who cares? Why should he be able to get his money back? The seller should say, you shouldn't have waited so long. You should have drank it sooner. So you know what? The buyer said that I need this wine for cooking purposes. So that has to last a long time because you don't drink, when you drink wine, a bottle, you're going to finish in one meal. For cooking purposes, the wine bottle may have to last a month or longer. So that's why the buyer can give it back. So the Gemara, I mean, look at how forced Rabbi Yosef was forced to set up our Mishnah bekankanim shaloikeach, the Amarle lemakfa, that it's in the case where the buyer wants to buy it for cooking purposes. Look, why don't you simple it? Bekankanim shal moicher, the Amarle lemakfa, and the guy didn't say it's lemakfa. And simply the seller is not going to have achrayus. Amarava must be kashisa. You know why? Because the Mishnah itself was problematic. Diktani. If it was known that this wine producer produces wine that turns vinegar, he can return it. So amai, why? Le malay. Again, let the mocher say, why couldn't he give him the teretz there also? You should have drank the wine right away. Why did you wait? Because the Kohen told him right away that it was for cooking purposes where the wine has to last a long time. So Shmami know that's correct. Now, Upligid Rav Chia Bar Yosef, that there is a machlokas on this notion that if the wine became vinegar in the vessels of the moicher has to pay for it, not the lekah. Dam Rav Chia Bar Yosef. Chamra, Mazla de Moigor. You know what? Whether wine turns vinegar or not, it has to do with the muzzle of the owner, of the master. If a person is haughty, so one of the punishments is his wine will turn vinegar.
That's the seller, right, Yomi?
The seller. Amrav Mary, hi Mandi Yahir, Afilu Ayin Shebesel Makabel. Somebody who's haughty, even his wife won't accept him. Shenem of Gever Yahir lo yinve. My lo yinve. Af ben Navish lo Nav is like his house. Even his own house, he's not going to be accepted. I mean, I'm a wrong. So we know the Rosh Yeshivas wear a bekeshe, they wear a long frock. Somebody who dresses up like a Tamei Chachamim, it's not Purim. Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't allow him in his vicinity. How do you know this? So Yinve is a Gzer Shav. Amarava. Person sold a barrel of wine to a grocer, that he is going to sell the wine to customers, little by little, who want to buy wine. And after a half or a third of the barrel had been emptied, it turned vinegar. Dino shemakabalamine. Mikradin, the seller should take it back and give the buyer his money. Lo amaran ela shelo shani babirsa. As long as the grocer had not put in a new faucet, or beres is like a spigot into the barrel. Aval shani birsa lo, but maybe the putting in a new spigot ruined it, and that's what caused it to turn vinegar. V'lo amaran ela shlomata yom shuka. The big market they had in the ride of Mata Yom Shuka, the moicha doesn't have to give his money low because the storekeeper should have known how to sell the wine to the big crowd. Amarava. A grocer bought wine, and there were some investors, and this guy was going to take it to the port, Val Shafet, and sell it there. Adamasi Hasamzal. By the time he got there, the price of wine had dropped. Dina Hushamakabale, the investors, the owners. One second. Hello? Hello?
Hi, Ernie. It's Sai. How are you?
Sai, can I call you back because I'm teaching Daf Yomi?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure, absolutely.
I'll call you right back.
Okay, bye.
So the achrayus is not on the guy who brought it to the port; it's on all the investors. So iboiluhu. What if it, until it got to the port, avechalo, it turned vinegar? My. Amna vil Ravashi, he havin be Rav Kahana when we were learning about Rav Kahana. Amrlo, chalalo. This the investors don't. It's the guy who took it to the port who's responsible. The Lord Rav Yosef, the Lord Rav Yosef Rav Chanina, who said that as long that if it's in the vessels of the moicher, the buyer can always give it back to the moicher. But here we say no. The guy who transported the barrel to the port, he's the mazel that caused it to turn vinegar. Others say even became vinegar, the investors lose. Okay. So the Mishnah said Yashan has to be Mishal Ishtake, has to be last year's wine. Miyushin has to be 3 years. Kana Miyashin v'hodacharachad. And in that third year, it has to last until Sukkot. Mishnah. Hamoicher makom lechavero. I sell a certain plot of land. L'cheira makabel makom lechavero. Lasos lo bayis. Beis chasnos livno, or beis aminos levito. A worker accepts from his friend a place to build a house for his son who's getting married, a beis chasanim, or his daughter became a widow, so she's moving back home. Boine arba ames al sheish ames de Rebbe Kiva. It has to be at least 4 by 6 ames. Rabbi Shmuel, this is too small. Refus Bakari, this is a corral. Human beings don't live in such a small place. I wrote Silos Rabbi Bakar, but Arba Shal Sheish. Bayis cotton, Sheish Shal Shmonis, 6 by 8. Gadol Shwana Lesser, 8 ames by 10 ames. Traklin, a mansion, is Esra Lesser. What are the dimensions? Ruma, the height, Kechatzi Orkov, Kechatzi Rachbo, adding up half the length and half the width. Where do you get this? It was 40 ames long, 20 ames wide. It was 30 ames high. So you take half of each, 20 plus 10 is 30. Now, lamali lemisni beis chastus no beis amnes levito. Lisni beis chastus no levito. Why not say it's a wedding house for both the son and daughter? Or beis amnes levito. Why separate it? So the Gemara says milsa gavocher kamashma because this is the normal practice. Lo daka the chaste lemerid beis hamua. A chosin doesn't live in the house of his in-laws. It's not derech eretz. It's not tznius. Kidichsiv. The Sefer Ben Sira. Ben Sira is a Tanaitic piece of literature. Some say Ben Sira was the son of Yirmiyah Navi. And there are wisdoms in it. It's not one of our canon. It's not part of Tanakh, but it's a book of wisdom. Hakol Shakati because of his name. I weighed everything. V'lo matzasi kal misut, nothing is lighter than soybean. The kal misibin chosna davar veis chamav. From an ethical point of view, what's worse is a chosna who lives in his father-in-law's house. The kal mechosna oirech machnias orech means you invite a guest and the guest invites his own guest. And the kal orech, worse than that, is meishiv davar b'terem yishma. You answer before you hear their whole question. Shenemer meishiv dar b'terem yishma avelasi lova klimot from Mishlei. Rabbi Shmuel Omer Revis Baker Hizu, that if it's a small, it's a corral. Rotze lasos. You want to make a Revis Baker? Rabbi Shmuel said it's 4 by 6. Revis Baker Magdala. Who authored this? Ikidem Rabbi Shmuel Ketani. It's Rabbi Shmuel. Vikidam Rabbi Kiva Ketani. This is where Avu Pisha in Refes Bakar I don't agree that 6 by 4 is Refes Bakar, but Pamim Shalom Oysa Diroso Refes Bakar. Sometimes a person will make his house like a corral. And you're not required to sell him more than 4 by 6. But a bias has to be bigger. Traklin, like a mansion, is Esral Esser. My Traklin, Kufsa Be Verdi, a house that has a lot of roses around it. Tani Vekantir, which is another name for a mansion, Shtem Esral Shtem, 12 by 12. My Kantir Tarbitza Padni is a courtyard for a palace. Then we said the height of a house, Rumo Kachatzi Erko, Chatzi, you add half the length, half the width, that's what the height is. And Rai Ladovar, the proof to this is Rav Shimon Gamliel. Can be Nahechel. Rai Ladovar Mangtali, who learned this shot? Ikedi Amir Rav Shimon Gamliel Ktari. Bachi Kamar. Rai Ladovar Minayin. Where's the proof? Amr Shimon Gamliel. Hakol Kibin Hechel. Okay. Veked de Amri, Tarakam Ktari Log. Rav Shimon Gamliel at Mui Kametame was wondering, Bachi Kamar Lay. Litana Kama Rai Minayin. Where's the proof that Tarakam Bin Hechel? Oh, to cool Alma Kibin Hechel. What do you mean? Everybody builds their house like the base of Mikdash? So Tanya, Cheremoimru, Rumo Kekoy Roisov. The height has to be like the beams that hold up the ceiling. Velema Rumo Karoch. Well, why don't you just say simple? The height is like the width. Because Iboy said based on Mi Iloi Rivcha. It's a little wider on top than it is on the bottom. The walls are narrow on the bottom than on the top. Because you have to put windows in. Rav Chanina Nafak L'Kiryasa. Rav Chanina went to the village. Ramalei Kroy Adadi. They showed him a steer between two psukim. Ksiv. The Abayis Sherbona Melech Shloimo Lashem. This is a pasuk in Melachim Aleph that we learned. Shishim Amma Erko Esrim Rachbo Shoshim Amma Kamas 60 high. 20 wide, 30 high. Now, this doesn't fit. We said you have to take half the length, which would be 30, half the width, which would be 10, that'd be 40, not 30. Then another pasuk says, Esri Mama Oirech, Esri Mama Rochav, Esri Mama Koimasa. In front of the Kodesh Kodashim was 20 by 20 by 20. So it's not 30, it's 20 high. They're only measuring from the top of the kruvim, which was Eser Amos, so you have another 20. Now, my Kamashmalan, what is this teaching me? We're going to see that in the Kodesh Kadoshim, the measurements didn't add up. It's as if they weren't there. It was by miracle. Okay, so tomorrow,
5:15.
5:15, Thursday and Friday in Shul. Then Shabbos, it's 4:15, because the Shabbos Shuvas Drasha will be 5:15
Okay.
at Young Israel. And then Walter and I will walk back whenever.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody should have a
See you.